with Triple Eight Racing Engineering's Red Bull Ampol Racing Team and the Repco Supercars Championship switching to Ford next year, long-time Triple Eight driver Craig Lowndes has made the difficult decision to leave the team at the end of the 2025 season. Now, Lowndes and Triple Eight have been together for exactly 20 years now. We've been together for 20 years. That's dating back to 2005. The British fans are going to get that. The Americans watching have got no idea what I'm on about. He won the team's very first supercar race in 2005 in what was a relatively new team to the main game. A year later, in 2006, Lowndes and co-driver Jamie Whincup won Triple Eight's first Bathurst 1000. In a successful partnership that has lasted for 2 decades, Lowndes earned more than half of his 110 career supercars race victories with Triple Eight, including 6 of his 7 Bathurst 1000 wins and 9 podiums in Australia's Great Race. Now, since retiring from full-time supercars competition after the 2018 season, Lowndes has continued to compete for Triple Eight in the endurance races. Beginning in 2022, he was moved over to a third Triple Eight car for the Enduros, leading the Super Cheap Auto Wildcard program, mentoring young drivers. Now, he's worked with Declan Fraser, Zane Goddard, Cooper Murray, and he'll team up with last year's Dunlop Super 2 Series champion, Zach Bates, later this year for his final season as a Triple Eight driver. Now, in a statement, Lowndes said he's had nothing but good feelings and memories with the team over the years, calling this a tough decision due to the team's upcoming switch to Ford, but has decided to stay with General Motors heading into 2026 and beyond. The photo courtesy there of Triple Eight. Kobe rejoins us for this segment, and we'll start with him on this question. Is this the end of an era with Craig Lowndes departing Triple Eight to continue his relationship with General Motors? And Adam's already got his point coming in as well.
Yeah, Adam says when he heard the news, he couldn't believe it. Best wishes to Craig Lowndes. It'll be weird not to see him at Triple Eight. Totally agree with you, Adam. This was quite a surprise to me. And like you said, Josh, is this the end of an era? Absolutely, it is. It's every driver's dream to be with the same team for 2 decades. Yeah, when you think Triple Eight, you think Jamie Whincup, you think about Shane Van Gisbergen, and then the other driver that really comes to mind is Craig Lowndes, who's been there practically forever since the early days of this team. And it's for him to walk away from the team to stay with General Motors. It was a bit of a surprise. And then when I was on supercars.com reading about the business deals that Craig Lowndes has with General Motors off the track, I'm thinking, yeah, I might have stuck with General Motors as well, because who knows if Ford would be willing to give him some of the same deals that he has away from the racetrack. And I'm sure it was a real tough decision for him because his relationship with General Motors goes way back. When he made his first supercar start, he was in a Holden Commodore and GM family there. But Craig Lowndes has driven with Ford before. After he was with Holden, GM, he ran Ford for a few years, and then after that, he vastly, just really drove those Holden Commodores, and then transitioned over to the Chevrolet Camaros as well. So he's really spent most of his career driving in the GM family. So I guess it is understandable why he would leave Triple Eight to stay with GM, and looking at next year, seeing which teams are going to be the top GM teams. I wonder where they're going to place him next year for Bathurst and the other endurance race as well with the wildcard program. And I wonder what Triple Eight's going to do with this super cheap auto wildcard program as well. Is that going to stay next year when they switch to Ford? I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. But Craig Lowndes, Triple Eight parting ways. This definitely wasn't one of the stories that I expected to be talking about tonight.
No, much like Adam, I was the same. I saw this before the official announcement. I saw rumblings on, I think it was Facebook. I saw a couple of hours before it came out, and I was like, "Really? Lowndes moving away from T8? I mean, that's that big, and it's come to pass." But as you say, Kobe, if he's got so many GM/Chevrolet ties behind the scenes, I mean, he is still, even though he's semi-retired, one of the faces of the championship, and has been for, as we've said, so long. Dabbles in between the driving with co-commentary on the support categories, Utes and Porsches and all sorts of other things, Aussie racing cars. So, he's there, he's around, he's all sponsor's dream. The smile is always on the dial of Mr. Lowndes. And it's just going to be strange not seeing him with that team. Whether the wildcard thing is interesting. What will they do? Will Triple Eight keep it, or will within their family, or will it stay as a Chevrolet thing and move to another team, be it maybe Erebus or someone like that, which is going to be interesting. Again, just interesting to see Lowndes in a completely different environment outside of the Triple Eight family. But we've talked about it on the show over the last couple of years. It's been a big turnaround at Triple Eight over the last couple of years, with Whincup retiring from main driving, Van Gisbergen obviously moving across to the States, taking Jess with him, Jess Dane, Roland Dane, the patriarch of the whole team, retiring into a semi-retirement role. Jeremy Moore was there for a long time. He's left. Couchy going to Penrite, to the Grove team as well a couple of years ago. So there's been a big turnaround of heads at Triple Eight over the last 4 or 5 years. And this is the next one along the line. I guess my Ford Falcon 3-peat Triple Eight diecast that I've got signed by a Mr. CL now becomes perhaps more valuable, as it's a Ford one rather than a Chevrolet. Keep my fingers crossed on that one.
Get it on eBay. So
no, it's mine. There's probably only one in the country that's signed, and it's mine.
Fair dues. If you hear some knocking, like breaking windows and that lot, it's not me, I promise. Later on, it's fine. You're on eBay before the end of the night.
It's just over there if you need it. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, we need some new cash. We've got to get to Melbourne. Speaking of Melbourne, because days before the Melbourne Super Sprint at the Australian Grand Prix, the Blanchard Racing Team has announced that they have mutually agreed to part ways with Aaron Love. In a short statement, the team said both sides came to this decision at the request of Love himself. Last season was a difficult rookie year for Love, who finished 24th in the points, last of all of the full-time drivers. Now, then his 2025 campaign got off to a rough start when a brake failure caused him to crash out of the test day at Sydney Motorsport Park. After that, he did the one thing you should never, ever do in motorsports. During qualifying at Sydney, Love wrecked his teammate, James Courtney, and damaged both cars. Now, one Aaron out, another Aaron in. BRT is promoting its endurance driver, Aaron Cameron, to the full-time race seat to replace Love. Now, in the last 2 years, Cameron had competed in the Dunlop Super 2, and he finished runner-up in the 2024 series behind champion Zach Bates. Cameron said that it was a bit unexpected to get the call-up, but he's ready to make his solo start in the main game this week. The photo courtesy of Supercars. So really, what you could say is that it's for Aaron Cameron as well. It's 15 Love. No tennis joke? Oh, I'll go. Matt, same with the other one. After a difficult rookie year and then the embarrassing moment when he crashed into his teammate in qualifying and the opener, was it best for BRT to part ways with Aaron Love?
Well, perhaps time was time on the Aaron Love experiment, or whatever you call it. Let's call it. What we're now 25, so 2023, he was very, very good in Super 2 that year, won the championship. The year before, he was winning races in the Porsches as well. And it was that natural step, like, right, he's going next, and into supercars. I don't feel like this current generation of supercar has favoured Aaron Love. And it's a shame that, I mean, that the BRT team is perennially one of the backmarking teams. It's just the way that the supercars is. They are the back end of they're the Sauber of supercars, let's say. Was it time to make a change? Probably. As you mentioned, that very embarrassing moment a couple of weeks ago at SMP when he just clattered into the back of James Courtney at no speed at all in qualifying, and damaged both of their cars. What's the one golden rule in motorsport? Don't take out your teammate. Well, he did that at walking pace. So maybe that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. But happy to see Aaron Cameron come in. Got his first Super 2 win at Bathurst, supporting the 1000 at the end of last year, and ended up second in the championship after Kai Allen's championship capitulation at the end of last season, which ruled him out of winning it. Very, very fast in that category. Took him a little while to get going, but once he did, he was always in the front group. Very good in the TCR Australia Championship over the last couple of years, driving a Peugeot, most notably, and winning a lot of races for Gary Rogers. So I feel like as much of a shame it is for Love to be benched. Maybe they'll get him back for the Enduros. Maybe there'll be a switch there and get him back in as the Enduro driver. As shame as it is for Love to be gone, I think it's an upgrade with Cameron coming in. And we know that James Courtney, the other guy in that team, is retiring at the end of the season. So if they can get Cameron in and he'll have a good rest of the year, three races down, one round down, he's got plenty of time to get himself acclimatized in the team, ready for next year, where he could end up being the team leader.
Yeah, Aaron Cameron is basically auditioning for the rest of the year for that full-time seat permanently in 2026. But yeah, and this is another story I honestly did not expect, Matt. Even with that embarrassing moment at Sydney Motorsport Park when he took out his teammate James Courtney, I didn't expect them to actually fire him over that incident. I didn't call this a fireable offense. Although it was really embarrassing. I remember in our private chat, I said that this was dumb and easily avoidable. I just don't understand how you crash into your teammate like that and you're just getting heat in the tires and qualify. And that's just a terrible miscalculation. And when I saw Love do that, I was watching it live. I said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? That is just not something you need to be doing." And this is the perfect example of you had one job. Like seriously, Aaron Love, you had one job in this situation, and you totally blew it and it ended up costing him his job, obviously. But looking back to his rookie year in supercars, I have to agree with you, Matt. It really did not seem like that this style of supercar that they have now in the Gen 3 era has suited, Aaron Love's driving style. And considering how fast he rose through the ranks, maybe this could be another example of rushing a driver up the ladder way too soon. When Aaron Love was in the Porsche Carrera Cup Series in Australia, he was really tearing it up, looking extremely fast, like someone who could be a future star if he got all the way to the top. So he did that, went to Dunlap Super 2, and in his own season in Dunlap Super 2, I believe he finished just barely inside the top 10 in the driver standings. And besides a podium finish at Perth, he didn't really do anything that truly stand out in his 1 year in Dunlap Super 2. So, and then he moved into the main game last year and had all those struggles, and then and right before the season started, and then taking out Courtney in qualifying. So it's been a laundry list of struggles for Aaron Love, and unfortunately now he finds himself out of the Supercars Championship full time, and it's gonna be interesting to see what Love will be able to do with his racing career moving forward. Maybe this is a case where you need to go back down and restore his confidence, because I was reading a few articles on this on the V8 Sleuth site, and they were saying that basically Aaron Love had lost his confidence, and once you lose your confidence as a race car driver, it's pretty much game over there. And I think that it might be beneficial for Love if you can find a seat at some point later this year or even next year. I think a return to the Porsche Carrera Cup Australia Series will be good for him. Especially since we saw him perform extremely well in that series last time, so he can go down again to the Porsches and then be competitive and remind himself that I am that guy. I'm a good race car driver who can compete at the highest levels of motorsports, and then he can potentially work his way back up. Maybe go back to Super 2 with a good team, try to reprove himself to these teams. So I wouldn't necessarily say that Aaron Love's Supercars career is over right now. I think he just needs to go to drop down a level or two to the Porsches or Super 2, and try to rebuild his confidence and his profile. So Supercars team will come and knocking later on. But in regards to Aaron Cameron, I actually think his resume in Super 2 was way more impressive than anything Aaron Love ever did in that series. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets along this weekend at the Grand Prix.